Money Talk on RTHK Radio 3.
Good morning, it's 8:03 in Hong Kong on Monday the 20th of December. Welcome to the final week of Money Talk before Christmas. This is Peter Lewis with the day's business headlines. There's been a record low turnout in Hong Kong's Legislative Council elections. About 1.3 million people, or 30.2% of registered voters, took part, officials said, compared with a turnout of 58.3% in 2016. President Joe Biden, $250 billion social spending and climate policy bill, known as the Build Back Better plan, suffered a potentially fatal blow on Sunday when Joe Manchin, the pivotal Democratic senator from West Virginia, said he would vote against the package. The Bank of Japan has become the latest major central bank to start the process of removing highly accommodative monetary conditions.
Money Talk.
It's 8:24. Let's go up to Shanghai and join independent economist Andy Xie. Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Peter.
Let me ask you about 2021 for the mainland China economy. Didn't really turn out as planned, did it? And certainly wasn't as good as expected because of lockdowns, the power crunch, the tech crackdown. What are your thoughts as you look back on 2022, 2021?
I think that the big rebound in the first half happened because the pandemic was easy. But then Delta came, and the year ends with Omicron. So the second half, I think that a lot of headwinds. And on the domestic front, the government wasn't happy with some of the big companies and started to fine tune them. And also we have this long-term trend of property bubble beginning to deflate, and its impact is just the beginning.
And we also had all the supply chain issues and the inflationary problems they've been causing as well.
Yeah, I think the inflation certainly is a big deal. It's been going on for a while, but now the bigger recovery really pushed it over the edge. A labor shortage is really driving it.
So is that going to be a big challenge for China next year to keep inflation under control? It's certainly better than what we're seeing in the US and Europe and other emerging markets, isn't it? But there are some worrying signs as well.
Yeah, I think China is better in the sense that it's the production is happening in China. So if there's inflation here, there's a possibility of holding it down by expanding production. I think the Chinese government is very good at that, but the labor shortage is really an issue. People are reluctant to do manual work, to manual jobs. And China's economy is driven by construction and manufacturing, but a lot of people want to be white collar workers and not sitting in office, not doing much. So I think that certainly this challenge will continue.
And how much?
But, I think the property thing is really going to dominate the economy on the downside next year.
Do you think the authorities are going to get on top of that and basically bring the slump in the property sector to an end?
I don't think so. I think that the government will talk about stimulating again, reviving the property market. But I think that it has made a decision to let it go. It's just how to manage it. It's the unwinding.
So how do you think it's going to end, the crisis in the property sector?
Well, most developers will go under. I think that what the government needs to do, and the people in charge experienced the bubble bursting in the 1990s. They want to do a couple of things. One is that make sure that the ongoing projects get completed, and the people who pay the money will get their properties. And the other is that no liquidation without a government consideration, and so liquidation will be basically slow. It's the creditors would have to extend the terms, so wait for everything gets finished and see how much you get paid. So this is a kind of a process. I think the government will manage it, making sure that no snowballing like in the United States in 2008.
So basically investors into these offshore bonds, they've got to be prepared for some pretty large haircuts.
Yeah, but the government is making the effort to pay them, right? So it's not like these developers are walking away. They have to keep working and to make sure the creditors get paid as much as they could.
And what about the power crunch? Do you see that continuing? Because China's got to meet its commitments, isn't it, on the to the climate change?
Well, I think the climate is now becoming secondary. I think that on the power side, the government is ramping up coal production by 1 million tons per day. So I think that the power shortage is gone. So I think that the long-term trend is still there. The government will build nuclear power plants like over 100 to replace coal. But in the short term, more coal.
How much do you think the Chinese authorities really shot themselves in the foot in terms of the economy this year, particularly through the regulatory crackdown? That really did quite a lot of damage, didn't it, to big companies and to the economy? Do you think the Chinese government maybe has reached the point now of sort of maximum pain for the economy and it's going to pull back on that?
I don't think so. I think that the government has a long-term objectives. I think the government wants to make sure that the Chinese economy can survive if the U.S. cuts China off. I think the Taiwan issue is lurking, and the government is really clearing the deck, like let the debt bubble go, property debt bubble go, and making sure Chinese companies are separated from the U.S. so no U.S. sanctions could send a shock to China in that area. And ramping up the research for tech, so that the tech war becomes has less impact on China. So I think the government is really gearing up for a major conflict over Taiwan.
So you think geopolitical tensions are going to escalate even further next year?
Yeah, I think the long-term trends, in 2021, we see that the short-term issues relate to pandemic and some long-term trends relating to the inflation of Chinese property. And then there's even longer-term trends that are related to strategic concerns, like China and Russia want their own spheres of influence in their near borders. The United States has been pushing to the borders since the end of the Cold War. And now these two countries are strong enough to fight back. So the conflicts are inevitable. That they will try to, until they gain their spheres of influence, they will not stop.
Okay. Well, Andy, thank you very much for your thoughts. Have a very happy Christmas. Look forward to speaking to you again next year. That's independent-based, Shanghai-based economist Andy Xie.
You're listening to Money Talk on RTHK Radio 3.